Whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just starting out, the wood DIYs in this video are for anyone. So grab your power tools and let's get building. And a huge thank you to Craftsy for sponsoring today's video. Now this first one is going to tackle a problem most of us have, and that is not enough storage in the bathroom. We had all of our clean towels underneath our sink, which is across the room from the shower. It was not easy to access and I needed a solution. So I grabbed a 1x2x8 from Home Depot, which is about $2.75, and we are going to measure out all of our cuts. We're going to cut 2 pieces at 24 inches, 2 pieces at 10 inches, and we need 4 pieces at 5 inches. So measure those, get them cut, and then for any tags and staples that weren't removed in the cutting process, make sure that you remove those before you sand because it will spark on your power sander. Once everything's nice and smooth, this is optional. You can either attach with just regular screws, or I decided to use pocket holes because I have a Craig jig on hand, and also I wanted to hide the screws, but you don't have to have this. I'm going to do 3/4 inch pocket holes around the top of both sides, so on the little short end on all of the 5-inch pieces. That is going to allow us to hook to our wall brace as well as the front of our stand. The first step is to hook those 5-inch pieces into the 10-inch pieces to create essentially a U shape. Make sure that the top long piece of your 5-inch pieces is flushed with one end of your other piece. So as you can see here, those two are flushed to the top of that piece. We're going to repeat the same thing with the bottom, and then we are going to attach these to our 24-inch pieces, making sure that that corner is flush. Now, if you are not using pocket holes, no worries. You can just screw in from the opposite side to make the same shape. You can also use wood glue and nails because towels aren't that heavy, so you could also do that as well. So much of my woodworking projects is figuring out how I can make something with what I already have because not everybody has a ton of big tools. Then we're going to give it a final sand in case any of our edges are not super flat, and then we are going to finish it, whether that be stain or paint. I'm using Early American because it matches my house. Now for the install process, and this is super quick and easy. You're going to get a stud finder and you're going to find the stud in your wall. Then I'm going to use 2-inch construction screws and a level to attach it to the wall. So once you find where that stud is, you are going to center your shelf or your towel rack, whatever we're calling it, on the wall. You're going to use a level to make sure it's level, and you're going to drill a pilot hole in the center. So then that way you know that your wood's not going to split when you put the construction screw in. Then, ensuring it's level, take your 2-inch construction screw and screw right in through the drywall into that stud. Then once that's set, make sure your bottom is level, repeat the same step, and you have got a really quick and easy practical towel rack. This has been such a game changer in our bathroom because not only does it keep our towels nice and neat, but also I am able to reach it from the shower, which makes it so much easier. If you don't have a towel, you're not stuck having to run across the room all wet. You just grab one and go. This next one also uses one 1x2x8, so that's a 1x2 board that's 8 feet long to create one of these frames. So you can make one of these for under $3 in lumber, and it's so easy to put together. I was inspired to do this by one of my favorite blogs ever and creators, Anna Whit. You guys know I love Anna Whit plans, so I adapted it to some mats that I found on Amazon. I am going to cut 2 pieces at 11 inches and 2 pieces at 14 inches because my mat is 11 by 14. So you want 2 of your short side, 2 of your long side. Now your short sides are going to sit on the wider part and your longer sides are going to sit on the skinny part, as you can see. And then we are going to lay them out and measure, which is a little north of 12.5 inches to get a piece that's going to fit all the way down on that end. Once everything is good and sanded, it's time to assemble. So again, we're going to put our 2 longer ones on the skinny side, our 2 shorter ones on their wider side, and then the top and bottom will be that final piece we cut at about a little north of 12.5. I'm going to use my Ryobi Power Strike with 1 1/4 inch brad nails to hook the inner piece plus that shelf. Then you can go back around the outside and add those final pieces. Then the last step is to finish it. You can either paint it or stain it. And then to add the mat, you can either go with a more permanent solution like hot glue, or you can use tapes or different sticky tacks so that you can remove and re-add the frame. Once my frames were built, I knew I wanted an extra option with a little more pizzazz. So with the help of Craftsy, the sponsor of today's video, I learned how to add some really easy watercolor strawberries to this one. Now chances are you've heard me talk about Craftsy before because I use it all the time and I truly love it. But If you haven't, you're definitely missing out. It is your online resource for all things creative. Craftsy has more than 2,000 classes, over 20 plus different categories to help you learn from experienced teachers. They'll walk you through step by step, and I have learned literally so much on Craftsy. I've taken classes from everything from photography, embroidery, hand lettering, sewing, quilting, woodworking. In my latest crafting adventure with Craftsy, I started with this watercolor painting course taught by Jenna Rainey. It's about an hour all in, but all of these sub-lessons are broken up into under 15-minute chunks. Craftsy has an app which I really like because I can also just pop these up on my phone when I'm waiting for like pickup for Finn, and it makes a nice little crafty break while you're passing the time. And she made the class so accessible and easy to understand. Think about how fun watercolor effects will be to make one of these for each of the seasons. Then you just swap out the mat and you use the same frame. Now, whether you're looking to completely start a new hobby or hone some skills that you already have, you will definitely find something that you like on Craftsy. The first 1,000 people watching this video to use my link down in the description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for $1.49. This is valid for new members only. You can either grab the link down in the description or scan this QR code and start learning on Craftsy with me. Another topic I frequent on Craftsy is gardening because we like to grow our own produce and I want to help my husband, but I'm not a big gardener, so it helps me with that. Now we need somewhere to put the flowers and the food, so let's create some of these planters. These are made with fence pickets and it is from an Anna Whit plan. So I will link the full plan down below. For each planter, you are going to need 4 large fence pickets at 6 feet long. I like to use the cedar ones and then also 3 1x2x8s and 2 1x3x8s. I'm using furring strips for both of those and my lumber total was under $15. So here's your cut list. Again, I am linking the full playlist down below so you can screenshot this and make all your cuts that you will need to assemble. Then as always, we're going to give this wood a really good sand. The cedar sands up really nice. I am using 100 grit sandpaper. Then you're going to take your 1x2 and your 1x3 and create some corners. So I like to use a scrap little 1x2 leg here so it'll hold it up because you're creating an L. You're going to use some wood glue and some brad nails. I am using 1 1/4 inch nails and I'm doing the top and the bottom as well as the middle of this leg. And this is going to help our planters come together. Now I made 2 planters, so I've got 8 legs here, and I'm going to stain the legs in this jet black from Varathane color, but this is where you choose your own adventure. You can paint them, you can stain them, you can do whatever. Then I decided to add a little early American stain on the cedar. You don't have to. I really think that this color makes the beauty of the cedar fence pickets pop out. Now we are going to take 2 legs, put the long side down, so that's your 1x3, and we're going to attach 3 of our 18-inch stained pickets. That's going to create 1 of our 4 sides. I'm going to put down a strip of wood glue and then we are going to nail these bad boys down on either side, 1-inch brad nails, just because our fence pickets are thin. You can also move your wood pieces around so that they're going to look the best on the outside. This is actually the inside of the planter, so put your good side down. Once you've got those 2 sides assembled, then we are going to assemble the 3rd side. So I like to put the 2 on the ground and then you can attach all of your smaller 17-inch stained pickets. This side, the 1x2 is going to be down instead of the 1x3 because we were doing the 2 opposite sides of the box. Now, once you've got your box together, the last step is to just add some decorative trim on the top. So this is where we are going to measure, cut 2 pieces for 2 sides, and then you can dry fit cut for the other 2 sides just to make sure that they're going to fit. Then I stain those all in the same black color, but again, do what you feel with your heart. And then I'm going to use some more wood glue and 1 1/4 inch brad nails to attach these around the top. Now, depending on the size of the plants you're going to put in here, you can either put a pot right in here or you can add a little shelf, which is part of the Anna Whit plans. So down here I lined up my 1x2s with the top edge of the fence picket. So there's 3 there. So on the top of the bottom one, I stuck those pieces down, and then these I can remove, but there's nice drainage. And then you can either put like landscaping fabric over the top, or you can go ahead and put your pot right on top of here. I ended up getting these planters from Home Depot. They fit perfectly inside. If they still have them, I will link them down below. And then that way you can add your wood. It will drain right through those slats in the pickets. And then my last step was to make sure it was stained for outside. So I did a waterproof wood finish. I ended up doing 3 thin coats of this, and my planters are ready to go. I built these 3 years ago. They still look really great outside. They have held up so well, and it is a great beginner-friendly build that will build your confidence. Now, speaking of building, I've got so many wood ideas that I can't jam all into this one video. So if you're interested in wood builds, everything from decorative to storage to a full outside set that I built out of 2x4s, definitely check out my wood builds playlist. I will show you how to make this, a toy box. We've got a ton of different options here at Whiskey and Wit depending on your style. So be sure to check out the playlist when this video is over so you can see all of the opportunity that you have to make awesome things with wood. One of my favorite ways to display artwork and photos around our house are these picture ledges, because I can switch out the sizes of frames all the time without having a hole in the wall and having an issue if I want to change the size of the frame. So you're going to need a 1x2, a 1x3, and a 1x4 cut to your desired shelf width. So if you're going 30 inches, 36 inches, whatever across your wall, cut all 3 of those pieces of wood to that size. This day I ended up making 3 of them, so the 2 smaller ones are 30 inches wide, and then I did a long one, 36 inches, for our hallway. Now here's how they're going to sit together. You've got your 1x4 in the back, 1x3 is the bottom, and then the little front ledge so your pictures don't fall forward or what they can rest on is going to be your 1x2. Give everything a really good sand. So we're going to do the first 2 together a little differently than the front. So for this back one, because it is going to be holding the items up on the wall, I want them to be a little bit more sturdy. So I'm going to drill some pocket holes and put in some 1.5-inch screws in the back. This is going to go up against the wall so you're not going to see it. We don't have to worry about hiding the screws. And this is going to add some extra oomph to your shelves. I did 4 across the back. Then for the front, we're going to add the wood glue the same way, but we are going to use some nails to attach it. Then that way you don't have to worry about seeing anything. So the wood glue is going to hold it long time, and the nails are going to hold it right now. It's kind of like the idea of hot glue and E6000 or a super glue together. And then that way you've got a strong shelf that is also going to stay together. Then it's time to stain it like we have all video, make it match your house. And then to install this, it's similar to the towel rack we did at the beginning of the video. We're going to use our stud finder, find our stud, and for the width of these, you're probably going to have 2 different areas you can go into a stud. I would recommend 2 screws into the stud instead of just 1, or depending your width, if you go really wide, you might have 3. We're going to use the level, get it where we want it, and then I'm going to use the 2-inch construction screws also with a pilot hole right into the stud, and then that is going to help it be great. I've put a decent amount of weight on these and these have been good, but you got to get it into a stud. So stud finder is a non-negotiable. I love how these look. They add such fun character to our room because we can display stuff from our wedding, and in our hallway we can display some beautiful family photos. One of my favorite things to make out of wood are these little risers because they are perfect for everywhere in your house to decorate a little vignette. I'm going to use some 1x2 scraps as well as some scraps that we have from our table build over Christmas. If you don't have a scrap wood pile, be sure to check the value wood section at your local hardware store because you can get things for pennies on the dollar of things that they cut that they don't need anymore and they want to get rid of. Whatever you end up using, whether it be 1x or a 2-inch thickness board like I'm using here, you're going to want to sand it all down really good and then have your little legs be a little less than the board. So my legs here are 6 inches because it is a 2x8 board. I'm going to put some wood glue and hook it together with clamps, let it sit for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then you can remove the clamps and you will have this really beautiful modern rustic riser. Now I have a ton of distressed risers, but this is a step where you could easily distress the top if you want it to look weathered, and I decided to finish it with this Minwax stain, Early American. It's one of my favorite colors, but you could paint it, stain it, whatever matches your house. This is such a great staple. You can use it for just simple vignettes like I'm showing here. They're great for Christmas displays, any seasonal displays, and it's also great for nightstands if you want to give something a little height. Whenever I share any decor or really anything around our house, I always get questions about our floating shelves, and they are so easy to make, but they make such a big impact. We made one for our dining room, one for our entryway, and let me show you how easy it is to recreate. So basically, it's a box pressed over a hanging system called a cleat made out of 2x4s. So we made ours 60 inches wide, and for that I needed one 2x4 by 8 feet long, two 1x8s at 8 feet long, and one 1x6 at 8 feet long. Then it was time to make the cuts. So for your 2x4, you're going to make the cleat system, and with your 1x boards, you'll make the actual box to go around the shelf. So here's how to adjust the measurements for what you want. My width was 60 inches, so that's what you're going to cut your 1x6 to. Then you are going to cut a 1x6 piece to 7.5 inches, which matches the depth of the box because mine is a 1x8. Then your top and your bottom are going to be 1x8 pieces cut to 58.5 because that's going to allot for your two boards on either side because your 1x6 on the front is going to be a front piece. Then for your cleat system, you're going to take your width of your shelf minus 3 inches on either side. So for me, that'd be 6. So 60 minus 6 is 54 inches. And that will give me the 3 inches of space on either side. Then you're going to want your 2x4 pieces to hang the box. You want it to be about 1.5 inch buffer from your shelf. And then I took the depth of my box and subtracted 1 inch so that you've got a little bit of buffer room for each of those pieces. Step 1 is to assemble the cleat, so I'm starting by drilling some pilot holes so I don't split the wood, and then I'm going to take 2 of those 5.25 inch pieces and flush them with either end to create essentially what looks like a C piece. So before we add the extra 3 pieces in the center for support on this wall bracket, we are going to go in and see where the studs are, so then that way we don't put a support right in front of a stud because then you can't screw into the stud and it won't be as sturdy when you put it on the wall. Once the studs were marked on the cleat, then we made sure to avoid that area and add the 2 additional 5.25 pieces of 2x4 to the cleat. Then I went through on everything, the 1x8 as well as the pieces of 1x6s, and gave it a really good sand, and then it was time to assemble. Now we're going to make our box, so we're going to grab our 2 pieces of 1x8 as well as 2 of the smaller 1x6 pieces, and we're going to use wood glue and 1.5 inch brad nails to attach those pieces in a C shape. Once that's done, we're going to add the other 1x8 piece, so we've got the 1x8s as the top and bottom of our box. Get that all secure in the same way with the wood glue and the nails, and then we're going to use wood glue and nails again to add the 1x6 to the front of the box. The way that this is cut, it's going to completely cover it so you have a seamless piece of wood on the front. Then if you have any areas that overlap that aren't perfect, because pine is not a perfect wood, especially cheap pine, you can go through and really sand that down, buff it in, and make all those edges look a lot better. Then we wanted to get the cleat on the wall to make sure that everything looked and appeared just like we had in our mind. So we're marking the studs, making sure it's centered, using a level, and then Alex is doing 2 screws per stud. We ended up having 3 across this wall for how big the shelf was. We're using an impact driver to drive it straight into the wall for extra support. Once we did the pressure test, we put the box up just to make sure it fit, and then it was time for some final finishes. So I wiped off any sawdust that was going to get in the way of my staining, stained it with some Early American Stain by Minwax, and then I wanted to seal it, even though it was inside and I'm kind of iffy on the indoor sealant. I did want to make sure that if I was putting stuff up on it, I wasn't going to scratch it or nick it too bad. And then all that was left to do was to take my box, slide it over the cleat in my house, and it's good to go. It's also nice, you could screw it in and permanently hook it, but what I like is if to clean it, I can slide the box off, so I'm not trying to like be up on a step stool. I can slide the box off, bring it down, get the whole thing cleaned off, and then just slide it back up there, which is really nice. I love this one in our entryway. It kind of acts as a seasonal revolving door essentially. I put Christmas up here. I do a lot of my seasonal stuff, and it's beautiful. It is really nice to decorate, and they're pretty easy to put together. As I'm out in my garage making all these wood projects, I saw my overwhelming pile of spray paint cans. Some were on the floor, some are missing lids, and I thought we're going to tackle this. So I grabbed some wood at the store to update that area and organize those paint cans. But even if you're not a spray painter, this is going to help with literally any craft supply you have to organize. You can customize it to different sizes. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut a 1x6x8 into 2 pieces that are 46 inches long. Then I'm going to grab some 1x4s, and I'm going to cut 8 pieces at 13.5 inches, 2 pieces at 15 inches, and 1 piece at 15.5 inches. Then I'm going to cut myself a template that's going to help assemble this because I want my shelves to be at an angle so the cans won't roll out. So I am cutting a 30-degree angle off the end of the 1x4. Then I'm going to measure down from that long end to 4 3/4 inches because that's the height I want my shelf to be. So this is key. If you want shorter or higher shelves, make this template longer or shorter. And I'm going to make this parallelogram that's 4.75 inches wide. So here's the full cut list. You can pause to check or be sure to head over to my free file library. I will have the full PDF plans for this over there. You can download for free for my craft buddies. Then this is optional. You can always assemble with just wood screws and drill in from the outside, but because I have a Kreg jig, I decided to do 4 holes, 2 on each side, just to help with the joinery. So if you don't have a Kreg jig, no worries, you don't need one, but if you do, you can use it. Then we are going to sand it down, all the pieces, and then here's where the template comes in. Lay down your 1x6 that's 46 inches long, put the template on top, so line up that straight edge with the straight edge, and clamp it to your table. Then I'm going to figure out just about how far from the front I would like my cans to sit, and I'm going to mark on my template. Then I'm going to take my 1.5 inch pocket hole screws and screw right in. Then the great part about the template is I have my shelf at the angle that I want, and then I just move it, clamp it, and do the same thing. You're going to repeat for all the shelves, and this was such a game changer because I could even do this one-handed. Because I put the mark where the first one was on that edge, I can just line it up, screw them in. It makes it so much easier. So I just continued a little leapfroggy down the one piece, and then once I got all my shelves on there, I flipped it over, and then I added my other piece and used the template and worked my way back down to get everything on there. This went way quicker than if I was trying to measure by hand. Thank you to my husband who suggested this because I would have been just going out of my mind to do it without a template. Then we're going to grab those two 15-inch 1x4s to brace the top and the bottom because right now it just kind of looks like a blanket ladder essentially. Also, I accidentally split the wood here, so drill some pilot holes so you don't do that. Then you are going to want your 15.5-inch board, and depending on your boards, you may have to adjust after you assemble, but you want a board that goes straight across the back. Again, pocket hole those because I split it, and that's going to help you hang it later on. I decided to stain mine, but you could leave it as is. I just wanted it to match the brown walls in our garage. And then I used my power driver and some 3-inch construction screws to put this right into a stud right where the paint cans were, but now I'll be able to see them on the wall. This is so nice because now I have everything organized by color. I can see based on the cap color what I have. They slide in and out super quick and easy. I can grab things nice and fast, and that way I'm not buying a bunch of extra spray paint if I already have it. Another great thing is the top is good for putting clear coats, and I used the little bottom opening for my spray paint handles. So overall, I am so happy with this. And another great feature that I didn't think of as I was building it, but now I can see that it works, is the way that the shelf is, it will fit traditional cans plus a skinny can. So these color shot cans fit super well in the opening if you have 2 on there, so it's extra space. So as I was editing, I was thinking about all the other uses for this, so I grabbed a couple craft supplies and I wanted to show you. So this size fits yarn, so you could pop those in there, keep that all organized. I also grabbed some vinyl, so you could easily use this to organize your vinyl. That fits in there as well. And then the third thing I thought is you could put faux florals in here, and you would easily be able to see what you have per shelf. You could also make these shelves shorter, so like do one closer, and you could do little bottles of paint. I think I might also make one of these for my craft room office for my like Mod Podge size stuff, Waverly chalk paint. So literally you could use this for so many different things. It's great for storage. I hope you're leaving this video with a ton of ideas of things you want to make yourself and also the confidence to do so. I know so many of you have gained confidence and have grabbed power tools because of watching Whiskey Wood Build videos, and that is literally the best thing. So definitely keep sharing those projects with me. You can either share them on the other platforms, you can put them on the community tab, or you can email them to me at hello@whiskeyandwhit.com. All that info is down below. And also, while you're down in the description, be sure to check out more about today's sponsor, Craftsy. The first 1,000 people watching this video who use my link down in the description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. Yes, under $2 for the full year. So definitely grab it because this goes like hotcakes every time I share it. It's only the first 1,000 people. So check that out or scan the QR code and come over to Craftsy and create along with me. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss any future videos. And also while you're down there, join the email list so you don't miss out on the passwords, so you could get those wood templates and all the other things that are over on my blog and my free file library. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!